Hi, Professor Abbott, Sherilyn, and Juan. Thank you so much for all of your help in the collaborative learning assignment. We each took our parts and knocked it out of the park, putting in 110% and giving it our all, whether it be answering questions for one another via text at all hours of the day, or checking in on the group setting, seeing if anybody needed help after one of us was finished with something, and giving ideas to each other. We really did collaborate well. I've had other collaborations that didn't go so well in other classes, and I was nervous about this one, but we knocked it out of the park, and I really appreciate each one of you. With that being said, just as Mr. Greenleaf says, to be a servant leader, we have to put others before ourselves and before the needs of our own. So on my 2 days off that I have, I decided for my service project that I would go to my learning center and give 2 coworkers a day off, that they would have use their paid vacation time to have the day off, and I would go in to volunteer for this service project. I did 2 days, 14 hours, one day 7 hours and another day 7 hours. That gave 2 teachers who haven't had any breaks since the pandemic started a day off. As every other career, the pandemic has taken a toll on education, and we don't have any substitutes or a lot of staff to cover for one another. So anytime somebody calls in sick, our director or assistant director has to take the role of teacher for that day because we really don't have anybody. So giving 2 of my coworkers a day that they could have to themselves was a major help for them as well, because then they could have some downtime to kind of just have a day to themselves and not have to worry about anything. The students really enjoyed it also because it was a fresh face, but yet it wasn't their regular teacher. So it was like, woohoo, a substitute, even though I'm not really a substitute. And it just so happened to be Spirit Week, which is one of the best weeks that we have at the center, where each day we have different themes. So the 2 days that I substituted for were Decades Day and Hawaiian Day. And the students loved to dress up for both of those days. For Hawaiian Day, everyone dressed up in Hawaiian attire, whether it be skirts, coconuts, bathing suits, beachwear, aloha style printed shirts. Those are the types of things that the students wore. We did all kinds of Hawaiian games. I laminated some Hawaiian paper dolls, and we had like the shadow of them on a piece of paper so that they could use them as a puzzle, and that is also showcased on the presentation. We learned how to say children in Hawaiian. We learned how to say hello. We learned how to say thank you. These are all things that I was teaching them about culture, of Hawaiian culture. For Decades Day, they learned age-appropriate types of things, like the toys that they're used to seeing this day and age, how they have blossomed from toys from the 20s all the way up to now. And they were really interested in that, and that was a way for them to connect, because who doesn't love a good toy at this preschool level of 3 and 4? So they also were very interested to see how the TV has changed throughout the years, the radio, the telephone, those types of things. I had made Decades coloring packets so that they could see all of these types of things and color along with them. Each of them dressed up in Decades attire too, from the 20s all the way to now, but the majority of my class that I had was in 80s gear as well as myself. And we had one little boy who was 90s grunge, and I think we had one little boy who was 70s too. And they really enjoyed it. Teachers are servant leaders because of the qualities that they have. They need to listen to their students and understand the needs and what they need from us. We have to provide them with purpose and giving them empathy. We help heal their hearts. Due to the pandemic, a lot of our students are emotionally drained. the 3 and 4-year-olds aren't vaccinated, so we often have to send a group of 3 and 4-year-olds home because they were exposed, and where they're not vaccinated, they need to quarantine. These are the types of things that weigh heavily on these children because they're being ripped out of their comfort zone and their daily routine, and now we're sending them home, and they're like, well, why am I going home, and why can't I go to school and be with my friends? We're seeing a lot of emotionally, outbursts from children, and we need to take that into consideration when we're teaching, that they have had a rough time these last 2.5 years, just as adults have. It's very hard for these 3 and 4-year-olds to recognize, the bigger picture. So as a servant leader, it's up to us to age appropriately do what we can to lead them and for them to understand that we're here for them and that we want them to succeed. Also, building communities, having our students see that we can be a community of different people with different ideas and still give respect to one another. These are all types of things that age appropriately I'm teaching my students. We inspire and motivate our students. We show them stewardship by helping them grow and leading by example. We build healthy communities for our students to learn in. And I notice that my students really are clingy to teachers since coming back from being on, after they're exposed and they have to stay home when they come back, they really need our support to motivate them to, everything's going to be okay. We're back in our daily routine. Structure and routine is really big for them at this age group, and that's what I'm here to help and provide for them. It is also great that I get to help my coworkers too, because each of us have a heavy workload on our shoulders, and nobody knows better than your coworkers just how that feels. So to be able to give them, a day to themselves where I can help out, they don't have to worry about it, and know that, the kids are taken care of is pretty great. And I hope that I made an impact on my fellow coworkers and their classes. Thank you.